right.
Yeah, I think we'll the conversation.
Hi, I'm Cindy Simpson, the mayor of the town of Mancos, and this is the Board of Trustees meeting for March 11, 2026. And I hereby call to order this meeting. And will everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Cindy Simpson?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McWhorter?
Here.
Trustee Andres Esparza?
Here.
Trustee Corey Jabor?
Here.
Trustee Nick Manning?
Here.
Trustee Daniel Hennick?
Here.
Trustee David Payton?
All right. So I would now entertain a motion regarding the agenda.
I'll make a motion with a change. I would like to remove item I4 since we're going to put it on the next agenda.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to remove I4. Okay. Oh yeah, there we go. Thank you. Sorry, long day of teaching. My voice is trash. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The next item on the agenda is audience business, and just I have a few comments to read. Senate Bill 24-131 prohibits firearms in public buildings with the exception of law enforcement. All people wishing to address the board shall do so from the podium provided in the boardroom, and all comments will be directed to the board, not out to the audience. Public comments regarding items not on the agenda shall be limited to 5 minutes per person, unless they're part of a formal presentation. And then public comments regarding public hearing items on the agenda will be limited to 3 minutes per person at the time the item comes up on the agenda. Special presentations of items not on the agenda shall be limited to 5 minutes. The board will appoint a timekeeper. That'll be our Mayor Pro Tem. All people from the podium shall clearly and audibly state their name, physical address, and the town business topic that they wish to speak about prior to speaking. And take a beat after you do that and see if we need some help with spelling of names. And then, I lost my place. No person shall be allowed to speak until recognized by the mayor, and requests to the board to accept written information shall be accepted at that time, although no action will be taken at the meeting. Written information accepted at the meeting will be provided in a board packet for the next meeting if necessary. And just to kind of reiterate, for some people it might be new information, for others, because whatever topics come up during public comment may or may not be on our agenda, we are not in a position to act upon them tonight, because that would violate open meetings law. All right, so let's take a look at who signed up. Mark, we'll let you go first.
Thank you very much. Good evening, respected trustees and honorable mayor. My name is Mark Worth. My wife and I live at 10750 Road 43, and we own the land that the town is using for its diversion from the Mancos River. 2 settling ponds occupying an acre of land, and the town's water pipeline crossing 1/2 mile of that land. I'm here to ask the trustees to honor the 1960 easement allowing for the use of our land for the town's diversion, settling ponds, and pipeline, or work with us to create a new easement. To avoid wasting your time, I have a question that can be answered with a simple yes or no by your Director of Public Works, who's sitting right back there at the back, against the back wall. Please allow your Public Works Director to answer this simple question. Does the raw water pipeline replacement project include 1/2 mile of pipeline on our property?
And we don't respond to things. You
I'm
can
only
reach
doing this
out.
because your Public Works Director has declined to answer that question in the past. And it would facilitate our discussion if I knew whether or not that was true. If the pipeline is not, a replacement project does not include our property, then we don't need to discuss the impacts of that pipeline on wetlands. And I'd like to ask you to make an exception in your normal procedures to get a simple yes or no from your director.
It would be wildly inappropriate for us to do that. What you could do is, outside of a meeting, you could reach out to our
I
town
have reached
administrator.
out and they have declined to answer. So if you were to direct them to answer me outside of this meeting, that would be helpful. Or allow them, perhaps would be the correct phrasing of that. Would you please allow your Public Works Director to speak with me about whether or not this pipeline crosses my land?
We don't direct staff's activities. We set policies and laws.
I would
So
ask that
that
you
would
set
be
a
up to
policy
the staff.
allowing that.
We're not going to get into it here, Mark.
I'm asking you if you are cutting a ditch across our land. Refusing to answer this will not help you get your $100,000 Southwest Roundtable grant awarded. You are required by your grant application to notify us if the project is on our land. So I ask again, does the raw water pipeline replacement project include 1/2 mile of pipeline on our property?
Madam Mayor, I think if Mr. Worth wants to reach out to staff, he can call me or he can call Heather.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So go through Heather.
Thank you very much for that communication. That will facilitate your meeting the requirements of the grant application, which is now coming before the Colorado Board. The CWCB staff has contacted the town regarding this issue. The staff is adding a condition to their approval recommendation for your $100,000 grant. The condition is that the town will work with adjacent property owners and secure all necessary easements. That approval and awarding of grants is coming right up here, so it might be good for us to work with each other. I think it would be extremely unfortunate for the residents of the town to lose a $100,000 grant because we're unable to have a reasonable conversation and come to a fair and reasonable easement or honor the existing easement. Hopefully we can work together on this. It seems really stupid to endanger a $100,000 grant. Granting me a tap will cost you nothing. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right. Shay Ralston. And thank you for the parenthetical how to pronounce it.
Yes, people have called me Shia my whole life.
Yes.
So I'm Shay. Shay Ralston, and address is 40275. I'm a far better writer. Oh, do I? Oh, Road H.
Yeah, the whole address.
Yeah.
Road H.
Simple address.
81328.
Can I
Thank
also
you.
get you to spell your name? I'm so sorry.
No, you're okay. SHEA. And then Ralston is RALSTON.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm a far better writer than public speaker, so I have a letter to follow this up with. But I'm here representing Millie's, and I know that you are talking over the next couple weeks and workshopping what you brought up a few weeks ago with the incentive and the tax program. We want to just thank you first. And Sonia is normally the face of this, but she's out of the country right now, so I'm here. But we wanted to thank you for approving the pieces of it. The beautification grant goes a long way for us, the waiving the business license and the sign fee. Thank you. And then I know that you are going to be workshopping the final piece, which is the tax savings for the property and sales tax. So what we were proposing, or are proposing, is potentially allowing for 1 year of the 3 years as a sign of good faith. You know, we applied to the grant with that in mind, with the good faith in mind, that as it was written, we could potentially be awarded it. So as you work towards a solution that does define the parameters a bit more, which I agree, if there needs to be parameters in place, it does make sense to put those in place. But we wanted to see if we could potentially find a solution and propose potentially approving 1 year of the 3. So I have a few more details here. I'm still waiting for a trust fund from my parents that doesn't exist. They also are restaurant owners. Millie's is being funded by 2 couples that it's out of our pockets. I sold a house to buy Millie's, and so every dime truly does count for us. So we just ask that you consider kind of some middle ground and a solution there. Thank you, and I have some letters.
Okay. Can you make sure that Mercedes gets one?
Yes.
Am I need to
email that to you?
We can
Give her one of ours too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We can read through it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There we go. Thank you.
All right. Russ Taylor. Yeah.
It's too hot now. My name is Russ Taylor. I live at 572 Glen Court here in beautiful downtown Memphis. Soon you will be voting on a values statement for the town of Memphis, prohibiting the use of town resources and marshal personnel to assist ICE and Border Patrol. As we learned, I do not expect that it will change the actions of Marshal Goodall and the deputy marshals. As we learned at the meeting that with the town that Marshal Goodall held, there are already state laws that prohibit local police from assisting ICE or Border Patrol. And here in Memphis, we, I personally included, depend on the moral compass of our Marshal Justin Goodall to keep us safe and our neighbors safe. This statement is about community, our town, making a public statement on our collective moral compass. We defend the rights of our peaceful and productive neighbors from increasingly repressive administration. And with this statement, we tell the residents and town of Memphis will not participate in the curtailment of the rights and of liberty of our neighbors. Even though this statement is a small statement, made to voice the position, the beliefs, if you like, of a small community in one state out of 50, representing 1,500 people out of 345 million. With this statement, we become part of a growing and verbal majority committed to keeping our neighbors, our nation safe. We have the duty as people who live in a democracy to speak for those who call this country, this town, home. You'll have to forgive my jumping around. I ended up adding notes after I'd already printed this. There appears to be a fear that the federal and state funding may be removed from our town if we make this statement contrary to the beliefs and the desires of the Trump administration. If that happens, we would need to come together with all other towns affected in Colorado, and I expect there will be others, as a class, and petition the Colorado Attorney General to sue the Trump administration
for previously allocated funds. If we, the people, do not push back, as law firms, universities, and the courts push back on the tariffs, on a federal oppression, then we are condoning it. Be brave. Vote for this statement of values. Vote for a brave statement to protect all of us. I can only expect fighting for the liberty of our neighbors now will save us all from having to fight for our liberty when the Trump administration comes for us for an equally arbitrary reason.
Thank you. Veldon Kreitzer?
My name is Valdon Kreitzer. I live at 10455 Road 39 here in Memphis. It seems kind of silly for me to read this now after hearing what you guys said in this last workshop, but I think there's some points that I still think I would like to try to make. I would like to challenge the board tonight on why I think that a resolution as opposed to a value statement is a better fit for this issue we're facing as a community. First, I would like to ask, where's the accountability in a value statement? You can talk about what you value all you want, but then you need to be able to back it up with actions, even if that means you have to walk things back or rework a resolution at a later date. It means that we shouldn't water down the language so as not to poke the bear or pit us against them. The language that has been proposed is strong and protective for people in our community who need the support. It is not antagonistic, divisive, or whining. Broadening the language in a value statement to represent everyone and make everyone feel included is not the point that we are trying to achieve. The language I heard around the table at the last workshop was very much in the vein of all lives matter. And there is a reason why Black Lives Matter became a movement, and that is because Black and brown lives have not been valued, protected, or uplifted in our country or this community from the very beginning. In fact, the exact opposite has been true. Genocide, slavery, denial of basic human rights, and actively targeting and persecuting due to colonialism and white supremacy. That is what people of color have experienced in this country. Currently, we need to be standing up for our immigrant neighbors because they hold value in this country and deserve our support. We need to stand beside our neighbors who need our help now. It is true that they have and will come for women, queer people, trans people, and other minorities as well. That is why it is important to be allies to groups that we are not a part of, because we need to stand together. We need to stand up for what is right, and for the same reason that we have gay pride, because shame was put upon us, the value of Black and brown lives needs to be uplifted because they have been disproportionately affected by violence and discrimination. I heard several times last meeting that you, the town board, are some of the most powerful and privileged people in this community. We are asking that you use that power and privilege to protect your neighbors who are being ripped away from their families and homes and who are being kidnapped and killed. Please do what you can to help and protect our friends, neighbors, and community, because we have to help each other. Also, to anyone who needs to hear this, if you are not Black, you do not get to say the N-word. It is never okay, period.
Thank you. Kate Osterloh. Did I say that right?
Osterloh. But you're very close.
Get it wrong.
You're going to get there.
I'm very consistent in how I mispronounce it.
You know, throughout my life, people have been very consistent Osterloh. So
Sorry.
that's all right. I'm Kate Osterloh. I almost said Kate Osterloh.
See, I got
What's
you.
my name? What's my address? 6875 Road 38. I had some things prepared, and then I got to, be here for the last bit of that, and so I'm just gonna kind of speak from the heart here. I don't know all of you personally, and I know it's really tough to give feedback when we don't have that relationship of trust. And so I want to start by saying that you all are my brothers and sisters, and I consider us to be on the same team here. That was not pretty to watch. Man, I'm looking at all of you and I feel your hearts, okay? I feel that you took these jobs and you came to this place, to this podium, because your heart called you there. You love your community. You want it to be better, right? I don't think that I'm just making that up in my head about any of you. I really feel that. And from that place, I think we have a real opportunity here We might not have as many bodies in the seats tonight, but I think that you all can sense the energy building in this community. I've been tremendously impressed and amazed by what I have seen in this community building recently, this energy that's building, and this sense that we have to protect ourselves because of what's happening. Our Constitution is being trampled, rule of law is out the window, and if ICE is specifically targeting brown and black people by name, that's not liability on you all if you're specifically trying to uplift and protect them, as my friends have said. And I want to say, like, we could come together here and build something really cool. The momentum that is building in this community to make things better, to tackle different elements of challenge within our community, it's remarkable. And you all have the resources. Like, I really, again, as my brothers and sisters, man, like, some of y'all have a lot of privilege. And I heard some things tonight that some of you don't feel under threat, some of you don't feel unsafe. That's amazing, awesome. I'm in the community with red folks, with blue folks, with brown folks, with white folks, and I'm telling you, the majority of this community is feeling really scared about what's happening. It's not a partisan issue. I think we're seeing the community come together on this, and you have an opportunity to partner with us in that. And I really want to invite you to, like, reconnect with that kid in you, the little kid in your heart that was like, I want to make my community better. And now we're all like watering down the language. Like, I've been in government. I know how that goes. I know what you're working with in this environment, but it could be different. It could be different right now. Like, we're all here because we see that it could be different. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joanna Loving.
Johanna Loving, spelled Johanna. I live at 665 Bauer Avenue in Mancus. I'm someone who does not speak up much and was going to come to the planning meeting for 30 minutes to show support for the community and be informed, then go on about my evening. But after hearing what was said in the planning meeting, I feel angry, I'm appalled, and I'm moved to use my voice. To speak directly to what was said in the meeting, you say information in the press release is redundant to information already available, redundant to information the town of Mancus already has, and redundant to state and federal law. But most people don't know where to find that information, and the people who need to hear this information may not feel safe or know where to go looking for it. You say you don't want to duplicate information, and that sounds like a convenient way to say that you don't want to comment on what is happening in our own community. As a board, you are being asked to help your community, and from my point of view, it looks like you are dragging your feet and making excuses. The people of Mancus are showing up, we're providing feedback, and want to know that our board of elected leaders hear us and care enough to work towards a resolution. And as a reminder, the resolution is putting out a press release to help our affected neighbors at this time in history. It is true that people are scared. And yes, the reality that some people of color are not scared is also true. But what harm does it do to them to hear that their town supports them? What harm does it do to the predominantly white community to hear we support people of color, immigrants, and other minorities at this point in time? I would like to ask you continue workshopping the press release provided to you in a way that shows you are not afraid to publicly say you support our neighbors in this very real and scary time we're all living in. Thank you.
Thank you. Shayna? Did I get that right?
Shayna Boover, 643 Riverside Avenue. Today I want to talk to you all about trust and responsibility. All of you chose these roles because you care about this town and the people in it. What responsibility then do you have to us here in this room? Trustee Daniel, in the last workshop you mentioned you wanted to see data to support naming the vulnerable group for whom we are all here fighting for recognition and dignity. You had already had 2 weeks with a proposed resolution in your hands. Why did you not find data to inform your decision before the workshop? You all now have had a full month to understand detention statistics, Stories, faces, names of people whose lives are being altered by ICE. Have you? Willful ignorance is not the leadership Mankus deserves. And I want to make very clear, it is your responsibility to become educated on issues brought to you that are outside of your lived experience. That takes intentional effort on your part and is what any resident would expect from their elected officials. We know that the US government has committed targeted acts of violence against people of color since the beginning of US history. Our history is one of genocide, slavery, Jim Crow, and segregation. Now we have racial profiling to detain, kidnap, deport, and abuse. ICE is only the latest iteration of the violence that is ingrained into every last one of our institutions, and this violence does have a specific target. In an equal world, we would be able to make a blanket value statement that fit everyone, but we do not live in an equal world. You all don't want to make a special class of people in your statements by mentioning Black and brown folks, but the federal government has already made separate classes. Ignoring that reality won't get us anywhere. To make meaningful change, we need to clearly acknowledge that a problem exists. In this moment, I would be ashamed if this town sacrificed the safety of Black and brown folks to protect its wallet when local families are having their futures irrevocably changed. The idea that you can only protect some only highlights the fact that classes already exist, whether you acknowledge them or not. All of our struggles are intertwined, and we need to stand up for each other now. Trust is earned through action, so what actions are you taking within your roles that makes you worthy of our trust?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? That's all who was signed up. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Reuven Sinensky, REUVEN SINENSKY. I live at 422 Bauer Avenue, Memphis. You know, I wasn't here for the whole workshop, but from what I can gather, removing all of the language that specifically recognizes what is happening to members of our community. At the end of the day, we all know what is happening here. We all know that people of color are being targeted by ICE. We all know that people in our county, people of color, are being targeted by ICE. We all know in the state of Colorado, this is what is happening. People of color are being targeted by ICE. We know this is what is happening in the US right now. This is not up for debate. This is not some pie in the sky thing. They're not denying, ICE is not denying this is what they're doing. We know this is what is happening. Let's not pretend like what is happening when the most vulnerable members of our community are being targeted because of who they are, because of how they grew up, because of where they're born, because of how they look. You all sit here and say that we're not able to do that, to acknowledge what everybody knows, what isn't up for debate. Come on. You're in this position of authority. Use it to actually let the most vulnerable members of our community know that you have their backs. If you do not feel threatened, if you think that paying really close attention, being hypervigilant right now, today, this month, for the coming months, is something that is crazy, is something that is out of line, honestly, ask yourself, are you worried about getting deported? Is anybody in your family worried about getting arrested and deported? I would venture a guess that no, you are not worried about your family being torn apart. Look, at the end of the day, we are asking you to use your positions to let people know that they are supported. Sitting here and saying, we cannot do that at a time when we all know what is happening, what does that say? What does that say about our values? Come on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, everybody. Angela Saylor, 13492 Road 33, Minkus. I just want, real quick. I just wanted to point out that I went on vacation last week or last meeting and missed the meeting. And apparently someone stood up here and said the whole N-word within a hard R, and none of you stood up and said, we don't do that. And I just think that's crazy.
I don't remember that happening.
Shannon. No, Shannon. White woman.
Oh.
Zasha Herford, HEREFORD, 13492 County Road, Mancus, 81328. Just plain and simple, I want to say, Mayor Cindy, I'm disappointed that I voted for you and didn't ask you questions before doing so. And if any of you need any data on ICE being present in our town, we can provide that. Just because it's not on Facebook doesn't mean it's not happening. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Moving on, our next item is Montezuma County Commissioner update. I do not see Gerald. Announcements. I have a couple that are in the packet, so I just want to read them. So we have a letter from Cancer Resource Alliance in Cortez. Sue Tompkins is the treasurer, and she says, Dear Board, thank you for awarding us $1,500 again this year. You assist us in providing financial support to all Mancus residents with cancer who apply to us for help. CRA has maintained viability for over 10 years, and commitments like yours make that possible. Thank you so much. Please add my email to your notifications of meetings asking grantees to attend. So good, she got the business out of the way. And then this one is from Hospice of Montezuma. And it says, Dear Town of Mancus friends, thank you so much for your generous grant of $1,500 to Hospice of Montezuma for our bereavement program. It is greatly appreciated. As you know, it is the support of our community and friends that make it possible for us to continue serving everyone in our region who needs hospice care. The last thing a family should worry about is how to afford the care that is needed for a loved one. Families are stretched financially and emotionally when caring for a loved one on hospice, and as they strive to manage their everyday needs. You have provided with your generous donations some peace of mind for these families. When we receive grants, it allows us to place resources back to what matters most, our patients and their families. Hospice of Montezuma, Inc. is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. This letter serves as your receipt and acknowledges that no goods or services, blah, 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 all the tax implication stuff. And that is signed by the executive director, Carol Baumgartner. So anyway, yeah, pass that on down to Mercedes. Pass that on down to Heather. Thank
I have a couple of announcements. The CDOT property on the corner of the car wash, if that project is done, we actually now have a quick thank you from the county.
Oh, cool.
So that 7-year project is complete. I will be taking this to the county tomorrow, record it, and then the town owns the section where the car wash is located. Mm-hmm. In that corner lot, excuse me, anything on this side of the road, we do not own. CDOT retained that for their easement side. Mm-hmm. But the piece on the northeast side of the road where the old car wash is located, that now belongs to the town. So that project is done. March 20th at noon, we will be doing conducting or holding a new trustee introduction for our 3, 1 returning and 2, 1 experienced, I guess, with Ed, and then 1 new board member. So Tom will provide a light lunch. It's just going to
say that date again.
March 20th.
March 20th, thank you.
Cindy and Brent will come and meet with the new trustees, and we'll give them their binders full of information and a lot of, yeah, we'll just overload them with info. On April 8th, the new board will be sworn in, so I will need the existing board to start the meeting, call it to order for 2 minutes, and then we will swear in the new board members, and they will take their seats and then hit the ground running. Also on April 8th, we will have an executive session to discuss water, so that David and I can update the new board on past information, and then get some information from David as to how the new board wants to proceed or should proceed. So those are all of the announcements that I have.
Okay. Anyone else up here? All right. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda items. These are items that are typically non-controversial, and they can be approved all at once, as there are no outstanding issues. And so for the consent agenda items today, we have February 25, 2026 minutes, February bills and claims, Region 9 update, and the SWORD meeting minutes. I would entertain a motion and a second.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Trustee Hennick and a second by Trustee Esparza. Will all in favor say aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Our next item is item I. It's discussion and action items. And so the first item under that is Ordinance 876, Series 2026, Avis designation along state highways.
So a couple of things. One, David Payton has submitted comments, if anybody is interested in hearing them. Two, Marshall Goodall and Sean will be here. I'm so sorry, Sean, I don't know your title.
He's a marshal.
Okay, Marshall. Will be here to answer your questions, if you have any. This ordinance is necessary for us to work with CDOT. So that's where we're all going to include you guys' information. And David Payton, as an employee of CDOT, sent a ton of information, and then did say he's in a unique position as he is with CDOT and has seen internal information regarding effectiveness, use, locations, etc., that members of the general public may not understand. So let me know if at any point you want me to read his notes or provide you with information.
Okay.
So at this point, we're going to let them give you some information, and then you all can discuss it if you have any questions for us.
Okay.
We'll go from there. Does that work?
Yeah, and just to kind of take a pulse of the board, what I'm envisioning is if we come up with something that we don't know and can't answer, then maybe we'll see if David speaks to that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Right. Presentation.
All right, so didn't really do presentation since we're doing an ordinance. And I also don't want to double down on what has already been presented to you in the ordinance and the facts. Main thing is this ordinance needs to happen first, because if you guys shoot down the ordinance, then why go through the CDOT application? One thing, so I brought in Sean, who's the marshal for Green Mountain Falls. They're a very similar size. They've already gone through the ordinance, the CDOT applications, so I figure subject matter expert to address any questions that you guys have. The main thing is on the speed data that you guys all have in your packet. You guys don't know, but that's a 24-hour time frame. Those were only up for a 24-hour time frame in each location. My main concern is the North Main min fee. There's no way I can enforce that. There's too much speed there. So that's why I'm asking for the ordinance to be approved. So that way I can work on trying to keep our one stoplight safe. And it has nothing to do with stoplight. I want to be clear on that. It's north of Main. So, if you guys have any questions on ordinance or any procedures of what goes into that, Sean would be the best.
Okay. You have a question?
I just would love to hear about it from your perspective, not a question, just more kick it off.
I'm Sean Goings. I represent Meta Traffic, but I am also the marshal for the town of Green Mountain Falls. I'm not smart enough to retire. This is like my third or fourth job in retirement. So, you guys do have a bit of a speeding problem here, and this ordinance is one way to solve part of that problem. Maybe not solve it, but direct some attention to a very dangerous situation that you have. It's my understanding that this location is very hard to police. I've been a police officer going on 30 years now, and I can understand that. The ordinance is written to the law, basically. So if you read the law, you read the ordinance, you're basically reading the same thing, just with different verbiage in it. So that's why it's necessary and needed. So anything that I can answer for you on that, I'm happy to. If you have questions about equipment or how the process works or anything like that, I can also speak to that. We've had our system in town for about 5 months now, and so we do have some experience with it, and it's a very good system. One of the reasons why I chose to go with this company and take a job with them was because of how they did business. They're a very upstanding company, and I don't put weight behind things I don't believe in. And so
just walk me through the process of somebody speeds, just start to finish.
Absolutely. So the cameras that we have up there are, let me go into cop speak a little bit. You have to certify cameras every year to make sure that they're functioning properly. You also have to certify the radars every year to make sure that they're functioning properly. That happens every year. Most of the time it can happen remotely. And so it's not a thing where you have to take them down and you have downtime or things like that. Somebody speeds past the camera, it's going to take a picture of the back of this vehicle to include the license plate. The license plate is then run. The registered owner of that vehicle is identified. By law, that's the person who would be responsible for that ticket. Okay, that ticket is then reviewed by Meta Traffic. They have people who go through and review them. A lot of times you'll have a plate that can't be read. Maybe big guy here has to go through the light or go through real quick, and we don't want to have the police having tickets there, right? So they have to run code, things like that. They take out unnecessary things from it, or if things are not identifiable, if somebody doesn't have a license plate or there's a bike rack on the back and you can't see the plate, we can't identify who it belongs to, those are also removed to save time for these guys when they have to approve those citations. So after that is done, the citations then go to the marshal's office. They have to identify that this plate is good, who it belongs to, and then they can issue that citation because it is a citation for a traffic violation. A certified police officer has to issue that citation, which is why they have to do it. Once that is done, it gets turned back over to Meta Traffic, who then takes that and they produce the citation and they mail it to the registered owner with the information that we have from their registration. Once they get that, they have the option to pay either virtually or they can mail the ticket in. They can actually come into the marshal's office and pay it if they want to too, if they have a credit card. Once that's done, then if the citation is paid, it's a done deal, it's gone. They also have the option to say, I was not driving this car or I lent this car to somebody. You can take that, you can take the information that they give you and transfer that liability to them. So that's another option that can happen. Also, the other thing, maybe it's something where we decide this person just needs a warning at this point. Maybe they come in and I had this great excuse. My grandma was sick at the hospital and I was rushing to get there or whatever. He can decide to make that citation a warning if he wanted to. Okay. We don't do that very often. It takes in my town, it takes a pretty extraordinary reason for it to not go. So once that ticket is paid, it's gone, or they can go to court. So it's a $40 citation. Going to court, they're going to add court costs to it, things like that. So you don't see very many of them. Many of them go to court. Less than 1% of citations for this company go to court, and I've experienced that same number as well. So you don't spend a lot of time in court. I would also like to say that this is a $40 citation. In my town, if you get the same speeding ticket, it's $160. Here it's $220, $260. So it's, talk about cost savings or things like that. It's a very light slap on the hand to solve a very dangerous problem. And I have seen a reduction in speed in the area where we have our traffic camera. So it's an effective solution. So.
Okay. I have a couple questions, if it's all right.
You might as well start. I think we all might.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on a limb here because I just saw what happened in here. You're gonna want to know where does this information go, and is this a camera that the federal government can track people with? No, it is not. This information that comes in, the only time that these cameras record something is if a speeding violation has happened. That information is recorded and it becomes evidence. So it's stored on a secure cloud server with meta traffic that your marshal's office can access. So if they do have to go to court, they have this evidence packet that they can use to prosecute this. Mm-hmm. Okay. It doesn't go to any other law enforcement agencies, and other law enforcement agencies cannot say, we want this.
Okay. That was my first question.
Okay.
So thank you.
I was reading the room.
So what guardrails are in place that will help secure it and avoid somebody hacking the system? Doge.
I am not a professional on this computer system. I can tell you that it is secured evidence that has to be secured because it is evidence, and I'm not aware of anybody that's hacked into this system. They have the same protections what Axon would have with the body camera stuff. Okay. It's a lot of the same technology. A lot of that comes from similar companies, and so it's not something whatever good hacker you have that can get in, they have better hackers to keep people out. So.
Yeah. Okay. So when I was reading page 45 of 80 or 54 of 85, lots of pages, and thank you for confirming that it was like the same, because I was having a deja vu while I was reading.
No worries.
7A, and some of this I'm just going to say out loud or ask questions out loud because we do have concerned citizens here. So what 7A says is the system only retains data when a violation of county or municipal traffic regulation or a traffic violation under state law occurs. So that's when it triggers the camera.
Yes.
And then all photographs and video that are collected by this identification system are treated as confidential, and they're exempt from disclosure and inspection pursuant to the CORA, Colorado Open Records Act.
Yes.
Okay. And then there's no use, disclosure, selling, or permitting access to the photographs, video, or personal identifiable data collected by this system, AVIS, except to the extent necessary to operate the program, including for purposes of processing violations for other law enforcement purposes. And that kind of raised an eyebrow, and so I'm wondering, and it also later on in that sentence, or pursuant to a court order for use in unrelated legal proceedings. And so if there's a way that you could speak to that, or that's state law?
That has nothing to do with, we provided the state law surrounding
Right.
this, so I don't think we can change that.
Well, no, but I want to know like what that means
So-
because we're being asked to approve an ordinance that will allow this.
Well, Madam Mayor, so what that would look like is if there was a speeding violation that occurred on the camera, and that could be furtherance of an investigation to murder, stolen vehicle, other felonious, that would allow furtherance of a crime. So if a suspect's fed through the camera, the only time it's going to photograph a plate, the only time it will become active is with a speeding violation. It doesn't sit there and take pictures of everything. This is not LPR.
This is not a flock camera or an LPR.
Yeah. So that's where that in the state law would allow the furtherance of prosecution.
Okay.
Then if there's a civil violation or a small claims violation, your data could be subpoenaed in the court based on the furtherance of that court order in a small claims civil
Okay.
issue.
All right. I think, thank you, because it was concerning. And just for the audience on video as well as in the room, it is also in state statute that they destroy any photos and video of violations collected by the AVIS system within 3 years after the final disposition of the violation. So it's not something that's kept forever, just for like legal purposes. And then that goes into some stuff about where the money goes and all of that. So I appreciate your entertaining me questions. And then, Andres, do you have any?
I'll start at the end and work away.
Oh, okay, sure.
Did you have one?
Corey?
I'm assuming only because I had this happen to me once. How often does it actually get through the process with the wrong license plate and mail a ticket to somebody with the wrong vehicle?
So I've not seen it happen. We had a gentleman who just called the day before yesterday. He's like, this is not my car. I don't know whose plate this is. I'm not sure why it's on mine. And so I called this gentleman back and I said, do you know this person who is also on here? He's like, oh, that's my mom. I'm like, does your mom own an Audi? Yes, she does. I'm like,
Yeah,
then this is your mom's ticket.
Yeah,
And
mine was a white delivery van in Denver, and it was the license plate to my Saturn. And I hadn't been in Denver. And I was like, that's not me. They were like, too bad. I came here and I was like, hey, can you talk to them and be like, I'm looking at the license plate and the car. And they finally, I had to fight them a bit to get them to get rid of it. But I was like,
as long as you can prove that it's not yours and there's, you know, a reason to get rid of it, I mean, it's $40. We're not going to argue too hard over 40.
I was just curious. I didn't know how often that happened. That's why I was like,
It's pretty rare.
Okay.
I think I have a question for both of you. Maybe I'll ask your question first.
Sure.
I know you said you don't share it or you don't sell it with any outside agency or any companies. Do you have a list of when other agencies or departments have successfully subpoenaed or requested that information and you've had to give it over?
That I do not know. If I would have to call to the company to ask them, but
yeah.
we
I mean,
generally,
just because in this political climate, there's we won't do this, but we end up having to because
right.
You know, somebody else.
I'm not aware, you know, and I've been working with these guys for a while and I've asked a bunch of questions and this seemed like a hot topic here. And I was told implicitly that it's not given out unless there's a reason for you get somebody who killed somebody or something happened with this specific car. Okay. I am not aware of anything that's happened with any federal agencies, but I can ask those questions.
Awesome.
So.
And then for Justin, maybe it's a question now, conversation later, but does this system equal less law enforcement present on the road sitting at stop signs or patrolling on the street? Does this allow us to cut back on our law enforcement because we're automating a part that you end up spending a lot of hours doing? Or
No.
is this in addition to the policing presence?
This is the location on North Main and Menifee due to the intersections and the high speeds,
Yeah.
we cannot effectively put a law enforcement there. The liability to the town is just too high. And that's why this location is looked at. We still have other law enforcement. What it does do is it allows us to look at more of the drug narcotic trafficking, the other felonious, because and again, this is one location and we're a square mile. There's a lot of other intersections and locations that need to be policed. But this takes one speed location out of the equation. We always are looking for interdiction and trying to keep drugs out of our community. And so with that, it does allow us to do different policing.
Allows you to be more targeted.
What traffic is very time consuming, and there's sometimes that you have a very good stop, but it's unsafe to turn to stop that vehicle because of traffic flow or
that's
pedestrians.
The liability you're talking about.
Yeah, and so the board knows the location, citizens know the location. It's a very tight corridor, and if we caused a T-bone style accident in that location, we're going to put a truck through somebody's house. So that's why this is a targeted location that I can't put a cop there for liability reasons.
Thank you.
It just, my bosses said, if you have questions, just text us, your questions.
That's good.
See if
Well,
there's
thank
anything
you.
that comes out, yes. So, that's, I'm not just randomly up here texting, sorry.
Yeah. Attention deficit disorder. Brent, do you have any
I
questions?
already asked my question, he answered, so.
All right.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here, by the way. I'm always wary of kind of big brother type companies. Looks like there was a class action lawsuit in Louisiana. What was the nature of that against MetaTraffic?
That I'm not sure. I'll have to ask about that as well.
Okay. I would be curious about that. And then I'm also curious, like, how it looks like MetaTraffic is owned by PTS Solutions, which is it's a subsidiary. How does this company make money if it's not selling data?
So when you, the way that it makes money is part of when we provide the evidence packets to you, we charge you for those packets. Okay. So if you look at that $40 that gets charged, about $28 of it is coming back to you guys, and 13 of it is used for processing, paperwork, personnel, sending that mail out, stamps, the like. So that's how they make their money, is off of that. And then you guys will get money back off of that citation for having the citation.
So the speeders actually pay for.
Yes, you guys
the
don't.
system.
So if I can tell you from experience, my police department is half the size of yours. I have 2 people. And so our focus is not on making money. Our focus is on traffic safety. It always should be, okay? The money part of it comes as a punishment. So something has to be done with that money. You guys can use that hopefully for public safety, better stop signs, more traffic lights, whatever it is, more marshals, more training, better equipment, whatever it is. That's what it should be used for. It's just a byproduct of the punishment. So to answer your question, no, and he's never even seen it requested.
Okay.
I'm going to guess if there's a class action lawsuit, he's probably not going to be able to comment on it.
It looks like it was from an overissuance of tickets. And that's, I mean, if you're incentivized to make money off of issuing tickets, looks like the city and the company got caught in a class action lawsuit. So I'm just curious what our exposure is all.
Okay. So one of the things that I did in my town is that I made a promise to my people. Sometimes people drive past that location 10, 15, 20 times a day. I had somebody who went through there several times and they got 4 tickets in one day. I will not give my residents more than 1 ticket a week. And that is something that I did for them. So that's part of also the reason of somebody looking at, do we have somebody who has a really huge speeding problem and this is not the solution for them? They need a visit from a law enforcement officer? Or can we say, hey, knock it off and this is good enough? But sometimes there is overkill, and I would not, I told my residents I would not do that to them. So if they get more than one ticket a week, they're to come to me and let me know. But most of the time I can track that. So
It seems like as long as the power still lies in the marshal's office to enforce and dictate,
yes,
then that kind of negates.
Well, and I want to bring the board's attention back to, we're looking at an ordinance, not the company. So
Yeah.
Okay.
like
That's
I'm working with Meta Traffic. We don't have a contract with them, but Sean's here to help answer any questions.
Yeah.
And he's associated with Meta Traffic, but he's also a city marshal. So again, our ordinance is what I'm hoping to stay in touch with. We can look at systems later.
Okay, that's helpful. Yeah. Thanks, Justin.
Before we continue, I feel like I read somewhere in here that the purpose of it is not to be just generating revenue.
No,
like it's a safety.
So law enforcement cannot be used as a coffer builder for any government entity.
Right.
That's on the state law.
Okay, I was thinking I saw that. Okay, any other questions?
No, that's great
Okay.
to note that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So does it doesn't take a picture of their face?
Must they take a picture of their face?
It doesn't take a picture of their
No.
face, just the rear?
The rear.
The rear.
Rear of the vehicle only. Because in the state of Colorado, the driver doesn't matter. When law enforcement contacts a driver of a vehicle, we are issuing the driver of that vehicle to stop. This allows the owner of the vehicle because in the state of Colorado, the liability is owned by the owner of that vehicle. Even so, if I drive any one of your guys' vehicle up and down in front of a speed camera, you get all the tickets, not me, because you allowed me to take the vehicle. Your insurance is covering me as a driver. You still have the liability of your vehicle based on Colorado law.
So what about points?
There's no points.
No points on it? Okay.
It's a 0-point citation.
I asked him about the lawsuit and he said that was from an individual against the town, not against the company. They just happened to be the company that provided the traffic stuff.
Okay.
So it's the town's policies that were.
Probably, and you know, you're sitting here looking at 80 something odd pages worth of stuff, and there's a reason for it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for that.
Any other questions?
Where exactly are you talking about putting it? Like just north of the stoplight, looking at the highway coming in?
No, it would be around, well, for one, we have to get the ordinance approved. Then we have to get the CDOT infrastructure application approved. So a lot of it's gonna be where CDOT allows us to put it.
The location.
But it has to be under 45 mile an hour zone. So that whole stretch is under 45 miles an hour. The maximum is 35. But the bigger concern is the 25 mile an hour zone that I have. That's where we get within our residential on that CDOT controlled section of roadway that is within our jurisdiction. And when you have a vehicle going 57 miles an hour on that stretch of road, any kid that walks out there, any pedestrian, you're not going to survive that crash.
Yeah.
And that's my concern.
I think also the other thing too, if I'm reading your question right, you're creating what's called a safety corridor basically there, and it's well signed. Meta Traffic provides you all the signage, cameras, all of that stuff, and so we are also going to help you. Obviously, we got this ordinance started. Your guys took it and they did the polishing on it. We're going to do the same thing with the CDOT application, because we've done quite a few of them. So we're creating that safety corridor. Did that answer your question as well?
Yeah, I think, you guys have answered most of my questions, or all.
So the CDOT infrastructure is permanent? What does that look like physically?
It would be permanent location, is what in that location. The reason that we don't have our little speed wagon, it's gonna get smoked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
You can't have it everywhere.
But the other side is, we also have a bus route.
Yeah.
That's in town, and that's very close to that bus route where we have, any citizen can use that location to access the bus stop. So again, this is a new process. It's kind of new for our region. And I appreciate the questions, but I can't stress enough that we can't go anywhere unless we do the ordinance first. Then we have to go through CDOT, and depending on what CDOT and their infrastructure requirements, that's going to really dictate on what can be done on that location. And with that, we've got a funky intersection for Menifee. We've got a dead end intersection for a T intersection off of East Sunset. We've got the nursing home intersection. So there's tight intersections there with higher rates of speed that we need to try and control for the safety of our residents and tourists.
How many, you've got the 4 locations in the speed study. Is it kind of like 4 cameras that you see as leading, or how many cameras are there?
I'm one location.
Just one?
Just one.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
David I was just curious if David had any comments that David Payton that were relevant.
Or David Lieberman.
I know, David was like, yes.
I know, David was
Okay, ready? Davis, I support. Anecdotally, we have a speeding issue in town. I would like to see a discussion regarding the difference between ALPR and Davis. Our community may not understand the difference as I do. Perhaps there could be a short point to discuss the operational differences in how the data is stored/used. As I understand Davis, the data is local and deleted. Only vehicles exceeding the speed limit by a considerable amount, at this point we're looking at 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, are photographed and the data stays with the marshal. Are there other options in addition to meta traffic? What are the costs and benefits offered? So we have not, that is farther in the process, depending on if the board wants to move forward. So, which roadways are being considered for Avis? Is this 160, 184, 160? It's that one location in Menifee and 160 because, as you can see by the speed study, there was excessive speeding. Talked about tight intersections, inability to bus stop that's there. Those are the reasons that we're looking at that single location. Can we make it clear and obvious that no, this is not a revenue-making opportunity? We're trying to get people to slow down. I think it.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
that.
$40 a ticket.
Yeah.
Not necessarily revenue-making opportunity. Excessive speeding is a safety issue. I'm sure nearly everyone on the board understands the challenge in trying to cross the highway at the RRFP pedestrian crossing when vehicles are coming at them at speed exceeding 55 miles an hour. That's the crossing of Beach Street in the 160. Okay. And the serious consequence of a young child who may not be as aware steps out into the path of the vehicle. He's got some statistics here, statistics regarding fatality rates versus speed are readily available. The one he highlighted, there's a lot. The 90% risk of death after impact at 58 miles an hour, which is barely above the Avis speed cutoff used on 160. If possible, I'd like to visit the extreme challenge our marshal's office has with speed enforcement. One staff member cannot effectively control speeds on every state roadway entering town. We simply do not have the resources. And while conducting a traffic stop, other vehicles continue to speed on other roadways. In response to possible questions of why don't we just lower the speed limit? I didn't hear that question. But that's where it stopped. I'm happy to tell you what his response is, why we don't vote to speak on it, but that's where his comments stopped.
Yeah. All right.
That addressed it.
Perfect.
David
All right.
Lieberman, did David Lieberman have anything to?
No, I looked through the draft ordinance and minor changes. Everything was okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And also looked at the contract. I know that's not what we're reading tonight, but
Yeah.
have some comments on that as well.
Good. Yeah.
Okay. So what I take away from this is we're looking at the ordinance to go forward with the CDOT application. If we're approved by CDOT for that location, then we put it out to bid or?
Well, what we would do timing wise is, I think if you approve this ordinance, we're going to start working on the CDOT application, and then we're going to start researching companies' contracts moving forward. We did meet with the company because, again, this is new to all of us, and we wanted to have, we needed to know if we even thought it was worth bringing to you all. So where we are now is, we do think it's worth additional research and potentially moving forward, but we can't unless this ordinance is approved.
Right.
I guess we can, but we can't do anything
Well,
with the information
yeah.
that we obtain. So that's what we're looking for right now, is if you approve this ordinance, it will signal to us that we keep this on our work plan, we continue to do our research, we continue to work with CDOT, because that's going to take a little bit of time. We continue to work with Meta Traffic, answer whatever questions you have, see what other agencies are doing.
And to follow up on Cindy's question, I think, will there be a point, once we've gone through that whole process, to as a board say, yes, we want this, or no, we don't? Or is us voting on this right now saying we want the process to go through to completion?
I can do that either way. I would say, if you vote no on this ordinance, it's going to tell us that you have no interest in that candidate.
What if we have tepid interest?
Then you would have to approve the ordinance, but if you're not sure, I'd rather bring back information to you to make sure you're sure before we spend the next 3 to 6 months working with CI.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can do it this way, but I would hate to have department heads who are stretched so incredibly thin, spend 3 to 6 months on a project and then have it.
Yeah, you can't afford that.
So if you're not comfortable, or if you want more information, happy to do that. And then, because you shouldn't put an ordinance on the books either that doesn't apply to anybody or anything, or you just shouldn't put an ordinance on the books.
If you're not going to use it.
Yeah. So I would say, if you are not sure, please let us know that. If you want more information, let us know that. We're happy to bring this back to you if you are interested. But yeah, I would hate for staff for you to pass this ordinance, staff to spend 6 months or 8 months, 9 months at this point working with CDOT on permitting and researching, and then we get established that.
Yeah, it seems like by approving if we approve the ordinance, we're sort of saying like town staff run with this. Yeah. That's what I'm
Through
hearing.
to completion.
Yes.
And it's okay if you're not comfortable. It is. This is one of those, it's not an emergency. It's not. So if you need to think about it or want us to bring it back, or want to just say no, we're not interested, this is all emergencies.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. I would entertain a motion and a second to deal with either way on the ordinance 876 series 2026 Avis designation along state highways.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 876 series 2026.
Second.
Ordinance establishing regulations for automated vehicle identification systems in the town of Mancos, Colorado.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Bradley Warder.
Aye.
Trustee Andres Esparza.
Aye.
Trustee Corey Jabor.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Henning.
Aye.
All right, ordinance approved.
I'd like to thank you all for your time tonight.
Well, thank you for
coming
yours.
and answering questions.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Appreciate the time.
It's always nice to hear from somebody that actually uses the systems. Yeah, and sells them. Yeah. All right, next item up is our recycling update. Heather?
Yes, wanted to bring this back to you. I did meet with Cortez City Manager and Cortez General Services Director regarding recycling, and they are still at the testing phase with the town of Dolores. So they are absolutely willing to, once they get over the hump in Dolores and figure it all out, they're absolutely willing to discuss the possibility of recycling with us. The one comment, and I did address it kind of in my staff report, is we have called, the town has called our 3 trash companies every year for the past several years to inquire about recycling, express an interest in recycling. The only company who offers it is Waste Management, and it's relatively expensive. So what the town and the town of Dolores and the city of Cortez, their staff and boards and councils are getting pushback from the community. What they're hearing from their citizens is government should not compete with private enterprise, which I am 100% in agreement with. On this one, I don't feel we would be doing that. We have reached out to our trash companies and said, our citizens want recycling. And they have chosen not to provide the service. So we would be giving our citizens an option. The town, the way the model is currently going, I don't know if it will change. The way the model is currently happening is, yes, the town of Dolores and the city of Cortez have an IGA to work together to provide the service. However, citizens are contracting with the city sanitation district directly. All they would be, instead of Waste Management or Countryside or Brewing, they could call Cortez Sand and get trash and recycling at the curbside. That's how it is currently being modeled. That would be wonderful if it stayed that way, because then our citizens then have more companies to choose from. So we'll see how that continues, what promises Dolores has to make in order to make it cost effective for Cortez, because they are an enterprise zone or an enterprise fund, so they must be profitable. But so I did want to bring that to your attention because Cortez and Dolores are experiencing that pushback. And I know we're going to get a ton of support for recycling. If we choose to move forward, I wanted you to be prepared to hear that. And prepared to answer or respond or direct staff to respond or rediscuss if we need to.
If you're chatting with Waste Management, I've called a couple times now because I wanted to get recycling just whatever way I could. And I've been told that I can't, that I live on Grand, which is really confusing because all the other signals say that I can. And if I'm getting that message, I imagine I may not be the only one.
They only we talked to their main office. So maybe their main office and their local office are not.
Cortez was confused.
Yeah. Hang on. Let's.
So you're calling Waste Management?
Yeah.
The company? So what I've heard so far is that it's only for commercial customers for the recycling side that you pay for separately.
Yeah. That would explain why they didn't get interested.
Yeah.
That would.
They want the bulk.
I apologize. That's not what staff has been told when we called, so I'm sorry for that. We are now we received wrong information, so we're giving out wrong information about business. So I apologize for that.
They had mentioned it at one point doing that, but they have not actually done it yet.
Well, and I think
their website shows.
Either last year or the year before, we called Countryside, and they said, yes, absolutely, we provide curbside recycling, and then 2 weeks later they canceled it.
Yeah.
So I hate speaking for these companies.
That's not your fault. It's
not
theirs.
Well, but I want, I wanted Cortez to know, I want you to know, we call every year. Because every year we talk about recycling. So every year we call and say, please provide recycling. There are grants available. I mean, we can work with these companies for grants that we are eligible for, and there's no interest at this time from these companies to provide recycling to our citizens, curbside recycling to our citizens.
Yeah.
Now, you can still take your stuff to the landfill and recycle, and you can do it during our recycle.
You may, when staff talks to them, their website literally says, as your home recycling partner in Memphis, we help your mixed recyclables find their next best use.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You might just mention to them that if they truly don't offer that, maybe they should false advertising.
I will call and ask them. I don't know how successful a gateway manager is a very large corporation. It's hard
Yeah,
to
totally.
change, but I will ask them to update their website.
Okay, all right.
Good luck.
So, I do
Probably just like
apologize
nothing.
for giving all alone.
Yeah, it doesn't.
All right. Okay, so.
So we'll keep on top of this and bring it back to you.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so the next item is a letter expressing opposition to HB 26-1102.
Yes, this is an FYI for you all. I signed this letter as the town administrator because the turnaround time was so tight on it. But there is pending legislation to redirect money from the Highway Users Tax Fund, which is HUTF, to Colorado drivers to help balance the state budget deficit. The town of Memphis receives between $30,000 and $40,000 a year in highway user tax money. We cannot afford to lose that. So I included my letter. I included the pending legislation for you all because I just wanted you all to know. Usually I get your permission ahead of time, but I didn't have time this time. And I do feel very strongly, considering how tight our budget is, the reductions in mineral lease, the reductions in severance tax, the reductions in property tax, I felt very strongly that I needed to send this letter. So I wanted you to see it. I did send it to Representative Stewart. Katie did send me an email asking for kind of more personalized information, and so I did send it over. But I'll keep you posted on it, and we'll see what happens. If you would like me to pull this letter back and it hasn't already been heard, I am more than happy to reach out to her and say, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have sent the letter, don't read it. But I did want you all to see it because that will, it's going to impact us.
I'm okay with it.
Let's keep our money in town.
Well,
yeah. They've already pulled, what was it, the mineral fees from us last year?
We used to receive in excess of $100,000 a year in mineral lease and severance tax revenue. Last year we received $38,000, and the year before that anyway, it's been steadily declining.
Is that like a market
reflection? This is 20 years of history. So, yeah, I understand that the state's having trouble managing, everybody has trouble managing the feds, the state, the town, and we all have trouble managing the budgets, we all understand that, but I just feel very strongly that they need to stop taking municipal money. They cut our grant funding from, $65 million to $25 million for the entire state. I mean, so this would not be, sorry about that.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely.
We can't afford to keep losing revenue to help the state.
Well, and
It's their budget.
thank you for keeping track of all these things because they happen so
We're
fast.
talking about overturning Tabor and keeping the money, instead of refunding the money to the taxpayers, they're talking about keeping it to balance the state budget.
Wow.
What? So
That's going to be a battle. That is going to be a battle.
Anyway,
surprise!
So it's just local control and local money.
Right.
The law says the money comes here.
Yeah.
So it should come here. So, if I have time, I always bring these to you. Anyway, this was just to update you. And like I said, if you want me to call back,
No. Everybody okay with it?
Yes, leave it.
Yeah.
I will keep you all posted. Well, I'll keep you posted regardless, whether it's now or whether it's budget season. You'll hear from me in a moment. So, all right.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Heather, for keeping an eye on it and dealing with it. All right, so we removed the fourth item, the town value statement, per a workshop where we came up with some new ideas on wording. And we'll get a packet. Well, as part of our packet, we'll get a smaller packet of what we're thinking we want to.
The three things.
Yeah, the three documents.
And I'm going to do my best to wordsmith that press release based on your conversation tonight. And I'll do my best.
Yeah.
So, but I'll give that will all go out to you guys. Just huge help.
Cool. All right, so next item on the agenda is items for March 25, 2026 meeting. Our workshop is to be determined.
I'm writing on economic development incentive.
Yes.
Nice.
I have wordsmithed a document. I have some information for you on things that are available in the county information line. If you think we could do it in a half an hour, I'm happy to put that on the agenda to start the discussion. I don't anticipate finishing it, but I'm happy to start it.
Yeah.
Can you send the information before the meeting so we have a chance to look at it before the workshop?
Yeah.
Please.
That worked out really well for this week.
Because it just seems like with the shorter workshops, when we have them, if we have the information beforehand, we can kind of get
We've
our
already
thoughts down.
digested
You know
it.
what I
Yeah.
can start doing? If I have information available prior to the workshop, and if I have it available the Friday before, because I don't want to piecemeal information on the website, it confuses you, it confuses the citizens. They know by 5 p.m. on Friday, the is there without fail. So I don't want to piecemeal, but if I have workshop information available when I send the packet, I will start putting these separate packet of information on the website titled workshop instead of meeting, and I will start sending it to you all ahead of time.
That'd be helpful.
That will not always happen, so I don't want you to expect a packet for every workshop.
Yeah.
But if I do have it, I'll start sending it in the website.
Okay. And I think some kind of a caveat that, points out these are works in progress.
This is my information.
Yeah.
These workshops are usually for you all, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I can do that.
Okay. So in addition to economic development as our workshop, we will have a consent agenda, and so far what's on it are the March 11 minutes and committee reports that may come in, and then an ordinance to be determined, the number to be determined, Series 2026, possible ban on those pesky roosters and or other male fowl in town limits. That one's tentative.
It is tentative because the ordinance itself is not tentative. I have no idea if the planning commission is gonna stop roosters. I know we probably don't wanna do ducks, I think I heard at the last meeting, but I heard peacocks. I have no idea how that's gonna go, I'm sorry, but I wanted to give as much information to you.
They're calling birds out by name.
Yeah,
wow.
Max is about ready to quack, so.
Yeah.
Lord.
Okay.
Okay.
All
I
right.
don't even know what I was going to say yet.
I know it's gonna be something.
Does it cover you?
Threatening the grant stuff.
Stop it. No, we must be. Okay.
It's gonna be executive session.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, as Nick said, male fowl or fowl males, whichever.
No.
No, it was a joke. And then a minor subdivision requested at 273 East Menifee.
Yes.
And then our values.
And our values discussion, yeah.
I have also been approached by by Mancus United to do a presentation, but I have let them know that I will bring that back up once the new board is seated. Because I think the new board needs to hear that and receive updates and get the information and make that decision. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I would then entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, we are adjourned.